The black stallion emerged from the shadows, its wild mane dancing in the wind like smoke. This was no ordinary horse, but a creature of legend, born from the untamed spirit of the wilderness itself. Erin Callahan had once lived in the noise and rhythm of war. Her days were measured by the wind in the pines, the crunch of elk hooves on frozen soil, and the solitude of Wyoming's wilderness. As a park ranger in the sprawling expanse of the Bridger-Teton National Forest, she carried out her duties with precision and an emotional distance that kept her colleagues at bay. People said she was aloof, even cold. But solitude was her chosen armor, forged out of scars far deeper than anyone could see. Years earlier, Staff Sergeant Erin Callahan had served in a special operations unit in Afghanistan. She had been sharp, disciplined, utterly reliable, until the mission that changed everything. An ambush in the rugged valleys of Kunar Province had swallowed her team whole. They'd been betrayed. Someone within their channels had leaked their route. Outnumbered and trapped, her unit fought until nearly all of them lay dead in the dust. Erin had survived, not through heroism but by sheer inexplicable chance. Survival became her punishment. Night after night, she replayed the screams, the gunfire, the faces of friends who never made it home. Guilt hollowed her. Trust dissolved. When she left the army, she fled human society. The forest offered silence, and silence meant no questions, no betrayals, no memories she couldn't bury. She thought if she stayed far enough away, she might one day stop hearing the echoes of Afghanistan. But ghosts have long memories, and Erin carried hers like a weight on her back. Her supervisor, Victor Harlow, had been a ranger for 2 decades, and wore authority like an ill-fitting coat sloppy, slightly arrogant but heavy enough to keep people in line. Erin had always distrusted him. He was too smooth in his explanations, too casual when rules were bent. She never caught him in an outright lie, but her instincts screamed that his loyalty wasn't to the forest. One winter morning, Harlow handed Erin a folded map. "Alcencio Grove," he said, his tone falsely light. "A solo patrol. Just check the area, make sure everything's quiet. Should be routine." Routine. Erin studied the map. The red markings weren't official Forest Service notations. They looked hastily drawn, paths that weren't on any official charts. Her stomach tightened. "You want me to go alone?" she asked flatly. Harlow shrugged. "You're the best tracker we've got. If there's anything unusual out there, you'll find it." That much was true. Something about his forced smile gnawed at her. She folded the map and nodded, though every nerve told her to refuse. Orders were orders, even here. The deeper Erin pushed into Alcencio Grove, the quieter the forest seemed to become. Snow draped the pines in heavy silence. Her boots crunched through frost, her breath fogged in the air. And the only sound was the occasional creak of ice on distant branches. She moved like a soldier, low, cautious, scanning the tree line. That instinct had never left her. Then she saw them. A clearing had been carved into the forest, raw and violent. Fresh stumps jutted up like broken teeth. A portable sawmill hummed in the distance. Chainsaws. Trucks. Men moving with the quick rhythm of thieves. Illegal loggers. She dropped behind a boulder, steadying her breath. 6 of them, armed with axes and shotguns. If she'd had backup, she could have radioed for arrests. But she was alone, and where Sarlo had sent her here. On purpose. She eased backward, planning to retreat, when the crunch of snow behind her made her spin. Too late, a heavy blow caught her temple. The world tilted. Hands grabbed her, dragging her forward. The loggers laughed as they stripped her of her sidearm, her radio, her knife. They beat her with fists and boots, mocking the badge pinned to her jacket. Erin fought with all the training drilled into her bones, elbow strikes, knee kicks, a headbutt that broke one man's nose. But 6 against 1 was no battle, only a cruel display. Blood stung her eyes. Her ribs screamed. A boot slammed into her stomach, driving the air out of her lungs. They tied her wrists, then her ankle, and with practiced cruelty, they hoisted her upside down from a tree limb. She dangled, her face inches above the snow, blood dripping into the white. One man sneered, "Let the wolves find her." They laughed again and walked away, engines roaring to life. The clearing fell quiet, but for the creak of the rope and Erin's ragged breathing. Hanging there, pain flooding every nerve, Erin thought of Afghanistan. the canyon where her team had fallen. It was the weight of her rifle, the choking dust. She remembered Private Lopez bleeding out beside her, whispering for his mother. She had promised him they would make it. She had lied. Her vision blurred. This, she thought, was a fitting end. Betrayed again, left to die in silence. The forest spun around her in dizzy arcs. Then, through the haze, a sound. Not engines, not footsteps, hoofbeats. Slow, deliberate. From the shadow of the trees, a black figure emerged. Stallion, colossal and battle-scarred, its mane wild as smoke in the wind. Aaron's fading mind thought at first it was a hallucination. Wild horses avoided people. They bolted at the first scent of humans. But this one came closer. The Mustang's eyes caught the weak light, dark, fierce, intelligent. It circled her once, snorting, its breath steaming in the cold. Aaron tried to whisper, but her voice was broken air. Then the impossible happened. The horse stepped forward, pressed its muzzle to the rope, binding her ankle, and began to bite. Its teeth worked against the fibers, steady and deliberate. The rope frayed, snapped strand by strand. Aaron felt herself drop. She hit the snow with a brutal thud, pain exploding through her bruised body. Gasping, she rolled onto her side. Above her, the Mustang stood, head high, nostrils flared, as though daring the forest to challenge what it had done. She met its gaze, stunned beyond words. For one wild heartbeat, soldier and stallion simply stared at each other. Two battle-scarred creatures, both survivors of wars not of their making. Then, with a toss of its mane, the black Mustang turned and vanished into the trees. Aaron lay there for long minutes, snow searing her cuts like fire. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself to her knees. She was alive. Against all odds, she was alive. Her mind reeled. Had Harlow sent her here knowing she'd be ambushed? The illegal loggers had been waiting. That wasn't coincidence. Betrayal again. It's a different battlefield. Same treachery. But beneath the fury, beneath the pain, something else stirred in her chest. A spark she hadn't felt in years. The moment the stallion had chewed through that rope, it was as if the forest itself had refused to let her die. She pressed a bloodied hand to her chest and laughed a broken, breathless laugh. She wasn't done yet.